Psalm chapter 91 is not just a passage from the Bible, it is a fortress of faith, a declaration of trust, and a proclamation of divine protection. For those who have ever felt vulnerable, exposed to the storms of life, or caught in the whirlwind of challenges, Psalm chapter 91 stands as a mighty tower where hearts find refuge. With its words, we walk not just in hope, but in the bold confidence of knowing that the Almighty God covers us under His wings. This is not just a prayer, it is the anthem of the warrior, the chant of the believer, the song of the one who knows that God is not only present but actively shielding, guiding, and protecting His beloved. In the sacred silence of early mornings, when the world is still wrapped in the shadows of dawn, there is a special power in uttering the first few words, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Can you feel it? The comfort, the embrace of something far greater than ourselves. It is as if the very breath of God hovers close, whispering peace into the deepest corners of the soul. Imagine a time when you were gripped by fear. Maybe it was a diagnosis that shook you, a loss that cut deep, or an uncertain future that loomed over you like a dark cloud. The voice of Psalm chapter 91 breaks through those shadows with a power that speaks directly to your heart. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. This is not a mere statement, it is a declaration, a challenge to fear itself. In those moments when we are at our weakest, the very proclamation of these words shifts the atmosphere. It is as though God Himself steps into the room, eyes full of compassion and strength, and says, "Fear not, for I am with you." The enemy, with his cunning whispers and sly deceptions, aims to steal peace and joy. He knows that if he can sow doubt, if he can shake your foundation, he can rob you of the boldness that comes from standing in God's promises. But here is where Psalm chapter 91 arms us with divine assurance. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. Not maybe, not possibly, but surely. There is no ambiguity in this promise. It is firm and steadfast. It tells us that God is not passive, He is active in our deliverance, meticulously dismantling traps set by the enemy and shielding us from dangers we cannot even see. Picture this. You are in a battlefield, surrounded by chaos and uncertainty. Yet, in the center of that turmoil stands a mighty fortress. Its walls are unyielding, built of a material so divine that no weapon formed against it could ever prosper. That is what it means to abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It is not just seeking shelter, it is living within that shelter, walking in it, breathing in the peace that it provides. With every step you take, you are covered, hidden, secure. And there is more. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge, His truth shall be your shield and buckler. There is tenderness here, the image of a mother bird who fiercely protects her young, extending her wings to shield them from every threat. Yet there is also strength. His truth becomes a shield, one that can withstand the fiercest arrows of doubt, discouragement, and despair. Every lie that whispers, "You are alone," or "You are not enough," shatters upon impact when met with the truth of God's unwavering love and commitment to His children. How many times have you woken up in the dead of night, heart pounding, as anxiety gripped you with icy fingers? You might be tempted to think that you are fighting these battles alone. But Psalm chapter 91 says otherwise. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. Notice how the verse covers every moment of our day, from the unseen fears that haunt the night to the visible attacks that confront us in the light. God's protection is not confined to a specific time or place, it is continuous, relentless, and eternal. Let me tell you a story that has been etched into my heart. There was a woman in my congregation who faced the fiercest storm of her life. Doctors had given her a diagnosis that sent chills through her spine. Fear began to rise like a flood, threatening to drown her faith. But every morning, she would sit in her prayer room, eyes closed, and speak Psalm chapter 91 aloud. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. She clung to those words as if they were life itself, believing that God's promises were as real as the air she breathed. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months. One day, she walked into the church, her eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of triumph. Against all odds, she had been healed. The power of that psalm, spoken and believed, had become a testimony that shook our entire congregation. It is one thing to read the words, but it is another to speak them with authority. The words, "Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling," are not just poetic lines, they are a covenant. When you declare them, you are saying to every force that opposes you, "I am not just protected, I am untouchable because I am in the presence of the Almighty." Think of the times when everything around you screamed hopelessness. Maybe the world seemed to crumble, news of disaster or personal misfortune ringing in your ears. But God does not promise an absence of challenges, He promises protection within them. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. Picture that, my friends, angels, mighty and fierce, taking orders from God Himself to stand guard around you. When you walk into the unknown, when you face the unthinkable, you are not alone. Heavenly armies accompany you, unseen but powerful, warding off the shadows that seek to harm. I remember a moment from my childhood when my father, a man of unwavering faith, would gather us around before bed and pray Psalm chapter 91 over our home. His voice was steady, full of conviction. As a child, I did not fully grasp the weight of those words, but I remember the peace that would wash over me, as tangible as a warm blanket. The nightmares that had once kept me awake disappeared, replaced by the security that only God can provide. As I grew older, I realized that my father was not just speaking words, he was building walls of divine protection around our household. Those words had power, not because they were recited out of ritual, but because they were believed with the whole heart. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him, I will set him on high, because he has known my name. There is something profound in this verse, a promise that reaches beyond protection and speaks of elevation. God does not only keep you safe, He lifts you up. He takes the one who is downtrodden, broken, and weary, and He sets them in a place of honor. You might have faced seasons when everything seemed to be against you, when the weight of life pressed so hard that it felt like you could not stand. But God says that when you love Him, when you know His name, He will not just rescue you, He will exalt you. Your testimony becomes a story not just of survival but of victory. And listen to this, "He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble, I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him, and show him my salvation." This is not a God who is distant, who sits on a throne far removed from the pain of His people. This is a God who is present, who responds when you call, who walks with you through the fire and carries you through the flood. Every prayer, every tear, every moment of anguish is seen and heard. There is no pain that goes unnoticed, no cry that echoes unanswered. God's promise is not only to deliver but to honor. Think of that, He takes the battle-scarred, the weary soldier, and crowns them with glory. There are times when the world will look at you and wonder how you made it through. How, when others fell apart, you stood firm. That, my friends, is the power of Psalm chapter 91. It is a power that lifts you, sustains you, and shines through you. You become a living testament to God's faithfulness, proof that His word is true and His promises are unbreakable. And so, as you move forward in life, hold these words close. Speak them, believe them, and live as if they are already fulfilled in your life. For the God who promises to cover you with His feathers and give His angels charge over you is not just the God of yesterday. He is the God of today, tomorrow, and forever. His strength never wanes, His love never falters, and His protection never fails. Let Psalm chapter 91 be your anthem, your declaration, and your assurance that no matter what comes your way, you are under the shadow of the Almighty, safe, secure, and wrapped in a love that will never let you go.